Yeah. Note to self, next time sit together, okay? And next we have Kathleen Fife.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
I'm so sorry.
My bad.
Okay, so I am pretty new at this. I've only been doing it for a few months. And when I started reciting poetry, the community around me just completely enveloped me. And it was such a beautiful experience, and this is something I wrote that is a gratitude piece to that. It's called Into the Room She Never Left. There once was a child born with a muse. She was filled with a sight, filled with a gift for creation and exaggeration. She was adorned with a crown of expression, bestowed with the soul of an oracle. She, much like you, was a poet. And one day, when very small, this little prophetic being went to her mother, a God-fearing and practical woman, a soul very different from her own. And this little seer held a drawing in her hands, a work of painstaking craftsmanship, a labor of love, a child's prized masterpiece, and said proudly, "One day, I'm going to be an artist." A worried look formed on her mother's face. "Oh, honey, you can't be an artist. Artists don't make any money." And with those words, the girl watched her sight slowly fade from view, her muse slowly back into the corners of her mind. "But some do," she whispered quietly, her little eyes tracing the drawing she had created with such care. "But most don't," her mother said, patting her back matter-of-factly and slowly slapping the drawing on the fridge with an absent-minded haphazardness. "You would have to be really good, and that just isn't very likely." And the girl understood. She was not an artist. That was for other people, for bigger people, for people with talent, for people who were likely to succeed. So she tried. She tried hard to be something else: a teacher, a scientist, a chef, a nanny, a philosopher, a nurse, a therapist, an actress, a lawyer, a bank teller, a zookeeper, an elephant tamer, and everything else her little heart could think of, because she already knew she wasn't an artist. But she just couldn't shut off the voices in her head, the strange musings, the dark visions, the half-crazed words that would consume her being, devouring her insides with a desperate desire to get out. She could not scratch the oracle from her soul. She could not erase the muse from her head. So she was lost for a long time, lost within the world around her, lost within her own mind. And then one day, almost by accident, she stepped into a room filled with artistic expression, filled with feelings and heartaches, with musings and nonsense, a room filled to the brim with change and chaos, where words are sustenance and come as you are as a way of being, a room full of poets. She looked around at these powerful energies gathered in this space and greeted them hesitantly, in awe of the magnanimous beauty they expelled. "Hello," she told the room softly. And at her words, a being stepped out of this mass of glorious entities to receive her. "Welcome back," retorted the cheerful voice of a magic man. She looked around at this cheerful magic man in this magic poetic room and was confused. "But I've never been here before," she said awkwardly. The magic man looked her up and down, his eyes twinkling with an old knowledge once forgotten. "No, I'm sure I've seen you before," he said confidently. "No," she said, "you must be mistaken." He shrugged, an amused look etched in his gaze. "Whatever you say." And that was that. Except it wasn't, because it happened again. She would begin to speak, to try out her voice in this expressive room, and a sound would call out. "Surely I know you," it would say. "No," she retorted with growing agitation. "You must be mistaken. I've never been here before." Again and again, the girl would call out, and someone would answer back, "I know you. Surely I know you." Some greeted her with confidence of an old friend. Others just had an inkling of a memory they could not quite grasp onto and would approach her familiar voice with quandary. Have we met? Still others, proud and gifted seers, were utterly disbelieving of the very notion she conveyed. Never been here before. Yeah, right. And time and time and time again, she was recognized and greeted by people and spirits she didn't know. And she didn't understand. Positively perplexed, the girl gave up and sat down next to a giant yellow flower swaying in the middle of the room. Why do they say they all know me? She asked with utter frustration. The flower, with its bright petals made of starlight, stared at her with recognition and answered back, because you've always been here. But I haven't. I've never been here. Ah, but you have. You've always been here. You were born here, you died here, and you never really left. You were just lost. And at that moment, the girl remembered. She remembered everything she had always known. She saw the essence of her being reflected in the walls and floorboards of that room, and every voice in its beautiful space, in the twinkling eyes of the magic man, in the vivid brightness of the yellow flower. And she realized they were right. She had been here all along. She had prophesied the unavoidable. She had witnessed her fate. She finally remembered what she saw so long ago, that the moment she would step into the room she had never left, she was and would always be a poet.
Yay!